from Friskies.
Here's a word association game. Which party comes to mind, Republican or Democrat, when you think about the intersection of religion and politics? Well, the Democrats are keenly aware of your likely answer. Hillary Clinton has hired an advisor whose sole job is outreach to religious voters. Barack Obama, meanwhile, speaks often and at length about the importance of his faith. Can Democrats reclaim religion as a winning political issue? Joining us now for answers, a charter member of the religious left, the founder of Sojourners/Call to Renewal, the author of God's Politics, Why the Right Gets It Wrong and the Left Doesn't Get It. We are honored to have Jim Wallis. Thanks a lot, Jim.
Hi, Tucker.
I want to put up a quote on the screen. This is from Barack Obama that really struck me. This is from last June during a political speech he gave. And he said, quote, "Kneeling beneath the cross on the south side, I felt I heard God's Spirit beckoning me. I submitted myself to his will and dedicated myself to discovering his truth." Now, coming in the context of a political speech, the implication is that God is on Barack Obama's side. That's an implication you often hear, or sometimes hear, among religious conservatives, and they are attacked for it. Does this make you uncomfortable?
Well, it was a speech at our conference, so I introduced him for that speech.
Yeah.
It was to church leaders and faith-based activists.
Right.
And it was, I think, Tucker, it was the most intelligent speech on faith and politics since the Houston speech, since Kennedy a long time ago gave a speech on the same topic. I think it was how faith can be engaged with respecting pluralism, democracy, and diversity. That was a great speech.
But it's also part of, as you're well aware, you wrote a book on it, part of a political strategy devised by very smart people who looked at the numbers and noticed that religious voters tended to vote Republican, and then if you want a national party, you've got to win some of them over. And this is a very calculated plan on the part of the Democratic Party to win those voters over.
Well, I've known Barack for 10 years.
Yes.
So back when he was a lowly state senator, he and I talked about faith and politics. He was progressive in his faith and politics, like I was. And we thought that to have faith that issues forth and talk about economic justice and poverty was more logical than the religious right. So he's not new to this. He's been doing it for a long time. He's very active in his Southside Black church. So this isn't for him very comfortable. He's talked more comfortably about faith and politics than any Democrat has in a long time.
There are a lot of, I think, a lot of evangelical voters, a lot of church-going voters who are sympathetic to some part of the Democrats' program. But abortion is just the deal killer for a lot of them. And that is really one of the few remaining orthodoxies on the Democratic side. Don't you think the Democratic Party has to sort of change its, I mean, by any definition, extremist view on abortion, no barrier to abortion? Don't they have to change that in order to win religious?
Well, I'm an evangelical.
Right.
And so the evangelical agenda is wider and deeper than ever before.
Yes.
So now it includes issues like global poverty, the environment, HIV/AIDS. But evangelicals like I still care about the sanctity of life.
Right.
But I'd like to see a serious conversation about how to practically, radically, dramatically reduce the number of abortions in this country and not use it as a political litmus test in football by both sides, left and right, in an election. The abortion rate is not any lower under 12 years of Republican rule.
Well, we'd make it lower a lot faster if we banned it. Now, why? I mean, in other words,
the question is, how do you practically, in this country, with all of the division, how do you really make a difference in abortion? So now I see Democrats on the Hill talking about abortion and how to reduce abortion, which I think is welcome talk for the first time.
And I must say, as a non-Democrat, I like to hear that also, as someone who is opposed to abortion. However, the Democrat, I mean, if you have a party that defends partial birth abortion, I mean, there's just no way around that. Clinton vetoed anti-partial birth bills twice. You have to change that to win religious voters in large numbers, don't you think, or you don't have to?
I think Democrats are rethinking their views on abortion. I hear Hillary Clinton say abortion is always a tragic choice. You can believe that without wanting to criminalize a desperate choice. So I want to see solutions on abortion where we actually change the abortion rate, not just to vote for an abortion ban and then to vote for policies that favor the rich over the poor.
Okay, but hold on, wait.
That's with
all due respect, that's a little too glib. I mean, if you're a candidate who's taking money from people who commit abortion, from abortion providers, from the abortion industry, you can't really say that you think abortion is also terrible. You're taking money from people who profit from it.
Tucker, I've spoken to Democrats on abortion. I've been attacked by the left for doing so. But when I find 2,000 verses in my Bible about poor people, I insist that fighting poverty is a moral values issue too.
Well, I agree with that.
So is God's creation.
I agree with that.
You can't just favor a symbolic stance on abortion and win the votes of evangelicals and Catholics over and over again.
Okay.
The political future is going to be shaped by moderate evangelicals and Catholics who care about sanctity of life and the family, but have a much broader agenda that cares about poverty, the environment, Africa, HIV, and the ethics of war in Iraq. So there's going to be a very different conversation. Right. The playing field has been leveled now.
Well,
Democrats and Republicans are going to talk about faith and God is not
I must
a
say,
Republican
just speaking
or
for
a
myself,
Democrat.
I can't even hear that conversation until that stumbling block is moved. But that's just me. Jim Wallis, I appreciate your coming on. Thank you
Good
very
to be
much.
here. Thank you.
Coming up.